Key point 1. Limitless potential. Have you ever wondered where your possibilities end? What are you really capable of? Often we are so eager to stay in our comfort zone that we don't even try to test our potential. We readily choose the familiar and expected, stealing our chance to become more prominent, braver, and freer. Accept your suffering and use it as a springboard to discover your true power. The truth is that we only use 40% of our natural capabilities. Shocking, right? It means we still have 60% available that could radically change our lives. But is it possible to access this power? David Goggin's experience shows it's possible. Despite the challenges and obstacles of his destiny, he managed not to settle with what life offered him, but to set his own rules. No matter who you are, life will present you similar opportunities where you can prove to be uncommon. David Goggin. Together, we will discover how he found a hidden energy source, rose above physical pain, and became unstoppable. So let's learn to harness our minds to live a bold life, filled with accomplishments that most consider beyond human possibility. Key point 2. Starting from a bad point. David Goggin's life has not been easy since childhood. Although his family seemed perfectly normal, they had skeletons in the closet. Goggin's father, Trunis, was an extremely violent man. He owned a roller skating rink in Buffalo and a bar above it, where he forced his wife Jackie and their 2 kids to work. Carrying out orders until late at night, 6-year-old David often fell asleep during his classes. But exhausting work and lack of sleep were not the only problems. Trunis Goggin brutally punished his sons and wife for the slightest mistake or disobedience. Physical and psychological violence, fear, and pain were everyday occurrences. Although Jackie tried to normalize her children's lives, their father always found a way to ruin them. Regardless of where you started, you have the power to change everything. David Goggin recalls the moment when, after another brutal beating, his mother called the police. But instead of the expected rescue, they watched as their father led the police back to the car, laughing and complaining about his marriage. It seemed that there was no way out of this hell. However, one day, Jackie found the strength to end the nightmare. After announcing to her husband that she was leaving, she offered her sons to make their own choice. Quickly packing some clothes, they ran to the southern Indiana town where Jackie's parents lived. They had no money because all the profits from the rink and the bar went to their father's account. Once, they even broke a piggy bank to buy food and fill the car. Their life wasn't cloudless, but the most crucial thing was escaping the devil. David went to a new school where he gradually began to catch up to his classmates. It seemed that a brighter streak had come for him. But this was only the beginning of the challenges that awaited. Key point 3. Facing severe reality and fight. 3rd grade at a new school was an absolute shock for David. Studying was extremely difficult for him, and his new teacher, who yelled at him for his low academic performance, only increased his stress. Due to his fear of ending up in a school for special students, David started cheating. He copied homework and tests that helped him improve his grades. As a teenager, David faced another harsh reality: racism. During a walk with his cousin, the passengers of a pickup truck shouted a racial expletive at them. It was the first, but not the last time David heard this word. He even received a note with threats from classmates who promised to kill him. Childhood trauma and a hostile environment fueled David's despair and pain. However, despite all the sadness, he still had one hope. He dreamed about enlisting in the Air Force. As a member of the Civil Air Patrol, the civilian auxiliary, he heard a story of a pararescue man who survived horrific injuries and nearly died, but returned to the job. It convinced David that human possibilities are limitless. However, he still had a long way to go to achieve his dream. After failing the ASVAB, a standardized test for the military, David knew he had to change something. Tomorrow depends on your decisions today. He carefully looked at his reflection in the mirror and honestly admitted to himself who he was. A boy who read at the 3rd grade level and cheated. But he knew what he wanted and was ready to work. From that moment, the ritual with the mirror became a tradition. He started by making his bed and caring for his appearance. Then he focused on studying and training to achieve his dream. These steps might help you if you're going through a transformation. Write down all your dreams and stick them on your mirror. Identify your current stage of achieving your goal and determine the next step. Make a separate note for every small step and peel it off the mirror after you finish it. Key point 4. It's never too late to rewrite your story. The Air Force was supposed to be a fresh start for David Goggin, and he did everything to use that chance. He was great at push-ups, running, and squatting. But one course was too challenging: water confidence. During the 10-week program, he underwent special evaluations to learn to remain calm in water under stress. Every day was another humiliation in the pool, but David continued to fight. His dream faltered when, during a medical examination, doctors discovered that he was a carrier of the sickle cell trait. They thought it could increase his exercise-related sudden death risk. David felt relieved when released from training, but the doctors reversed their decision, allowing him to choose whether to continue. He had already missed half of the trials, and returning meant starting from the beginning. When the master sergeant asked about his final decision, David could not meet his eyes. He had given up, using sickle cell trait as justification to leave. Get out of your comfort zone regularly to train your brain for new victories. After leaving the program, David put his military career on hold and went to work at Ecolab, disinfecting food establishments. He buried his Air Force dream and hidden sadness in the gym and food. His life was falling apart, but it wasn't the end. The day he took his destiny into his hands again was no different. He finished his night shift and drove home, having traditionally grabbed a milkshake. Turning on the TV, David heard broadcast snippets about the Navy SEALs, the toughest in the world. It was a turning point, and he knew what to do. Throwing the milkshake in the trash, David put on his sneakers and went for a run. It was the first step to a new beginning. Did you know? During SEAL training, David Goggin worked with Chris Kyle, the greatest sniper in Navy history, who wrote the book American Sniper, which became a hit movie starring Bradley Cooper. Key point 5. Breaking the mind. Getting into the Navy SEALs was challenging. All but one recruiter rejected David Goggin. Only Petty Officer Stephen Scaljo believed in him. To get a chance to make his dream come true, David had to lose 106 pounds and spend months preparing for the ASVAB, which he eventually passed. It was only the beginning of a long and exhausting journey. Candidates for the Navy SEALs must pass through special trials to prove their right to be part of this unit. Hell Week is one of those, and its name is not accidental. While the participants perform seemingly impossible tasks in the water and on land, the instructors try to break them in any way possible. David Goggin had to endure 3 Hell Weeks to reach his goal. During the first, he got double pneumonia, and his second attempt ended early because of a damaged knee. Yet, David learned a lot from this experience. Everything in life is a mind game. David Goggin. During SEAL training, he developed the taking souls tactic, which helps to access a second wind. David used it in the most challenging training moments to resist the instructor's mental and physical pressure. For example, he hummed a song or smiled during pain and suffering. His goal wasn't to suppress or anger instructors, but to maintain inner control. In moments of despair, remember your goal and keep striving. Calloused mind was his other tactic for dealing with a challenging situation. It helped him continue through the second Hell Week with a broken knee. Just imagine, he performed the necessary kicks in the water, overcoming excruciating pain. At that moment, David remembered what he had already achieved. It allowed him to shift attention from negative internal conversations and go beyond physical suffering. This mind power isn't just for competitions and training. When you face obstacles at work or in education, use this tactic to take control of your doubts. Mentally list your achievements. Visualize how you overcame a specific obstacle. And imagine all the challenges you can meet. It will help you be ready. Key point 6. From struggle to inner peace. The Army was not the only environment where David Goggin tested himself. To raise money for the families of his fallen comrades, he participated in one of the most challenging ultra-marathons in the world, Badwater. But first, he had to take on easier races to get a pass. Without sufficient training, he ran 100 miles in 24 hours, almost dying of kidney failure. So how did he do it? David applies the 40% rule, which says you still have 60% when you reach your maximum capacity. But by giving up doubts, self-limiting stories, and increasing your pain tolerance, you'll gain access to your potential at a critical moment. Throughout his life, David always sought to go beyond his abilities. This idea made him a famous ultramarathoner and allowed him to break the Guinness record for pull-ups. He did not give up, even when he underwent heart surgery due to a congenital disability. It's incredible what he could accomplish with a heart that was only half functioning. However, one day, David Goggin's body rebelled. He couldn't get out of bed. His every muscle was aching. Doctors failed to find the cause, and David felt he was slowly dying. Lying exhausted on his bed, he remembered his past and all he had achieved, yet finally realized how demanding he was of himself. David recognized that everything he did was for acceptance. His rage and fear of worthlessness drove him, and now he saw it clearly. David Goggin had finally found the clue to his illness. After several years of exhausting work, his body needed care. Remembering a stretching session during his SEAL training, he began to exercise. It was excruciating, but it worked and restored strength to the body. Even if everyone says your dream is impossible, ask what if and start your journey. After completing his military career, David Goggin did not stop. At age 43, he began his professional career as a wildland fighter. He continues to believe in human potential's limitlessness and is ready to do what everyone else thinks is impossible. Conclusion. There's an idea in Buddhism that life is suffering. We all have to go through hardships and pain. Sometimes we try to soften life's blows and stay in our comfort zone, but it can turn into a prison. You must surpass the familiar and challenge yourself to achieve your dreams. Yes, it's a challenging path that requires daily work and struggle. People may say your goals are unrealistic, but only you know the reality. The most important conversations happen inside, and you are the person who can change everything. When in doubt, remember David Goggin, the man who expanded his potential. You can do the same. Try this. Reflect on your past victories to boost confidence in present hurdles. Push yourself more each day, even if it's just one extra step or minute. Practice self-awareness. Understanding your why can be a powerful motivator. In moments of despair, Thank yourself for lessons learned on paths you have already taken.